Hello everyone and welcome to the third video in this series. And in today's video we're going to be looking at conditions, which is the if else statements. We're going to be looking into the comparison operators, logical operators, and at the end of today's video we are going to be building a mini grading Python system. So an if statement allows you to check a condition and execute a block of code if only that condition is true. So right now we have a variable here which is age, and we set the variable to 16, and we are checking here, which is an if statement. If an age is greater than or equal to 18, we return to the user that you are an adult. So if we go ahead and run this program right now, we are going to be receiving false or nothing because the age is not greater than 16. So right now receive nothing because the age is not greater than 16. But if we turn it to 20 is obviously greater than 18, and we run this again, we are going to see you're an adult. So, and as I said before, an if statement only executes a block of code if a condition is true. So this block of code here gets executed only when the condition is true. Right now you need to understand the setting to the block of code. So the way we position this block of code is what we call indentation, and indentation helps Python to be able to understand what code should be run and which function or which statement it is under. So what I mean is that if we bring this statement here, we are already receiving an error here. That's the first thing. The VS Code terminal is already screaming to us that hey, there's an error here, you are not indenting properly. And even though in case we're using a normal coding editor like a notepad and we go ahead to run the program, we are going to see an indentation error, which means that he has painted an indented block after line 6. So Python if statements or their blocks needs to be indented as we go. So I'm going to shift this and I'm going to drop this here. Just a tap and then it's indented. The VS Code automatically indents everything for us. So once you press enter, you are being already indented on it. So the next I'm going to be looking at is the comparison operators. So comparison operators are used to be able to compare values between each other. The first comparison operator we'll be looking at is the equal to and. So the equal to just checks if a value is equal to a value. So I'm going to use a user age again to be equal to 16. So if the user age is equal to 16, we should print user age is 16. So I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to comment out this one, or yes, I'm going to comment out this one. So if we go ahead to run the program again, we are going to be receiving user age is 16. So an equal to is just to check that a value strictly is equal to that whatever is passed there. The second value we are looking at is the not equal to, and the not equal to is the opposite of the equal to. It checks that a value is not equal to that. So I'm going to come and check if user age is not equal to 16, then we should print user is not 16. I'm going to comment out this line and I'm going to turn this to 15. So a not is equal to does the opposite of an equal to. It simply checks that a value is not equal to that and returns the block of code after it. So we have user is not 16. The next comparison operator we are going to be using is the greater than, and as the name implies, it checks that a value is greater than. So we know that from here, we know that the user age is 15. I'm going to drag it down using the alt and the arrow down, or shift it and come down. We know that the user age is 15. So we want to see if the user age is actually greater than 18. We can say you are able to drive a car. So we check if the user age is strictly greater than 18. We say we'll print you can drive a car. That is the use of the greater than. You need to check that a value is greater than something. In accordance with that, we have the less than, and the less than is used to check the value is less than something. So we can come here and say if user age is less than 18, you can say print you can't drive a car. And if we fix this, we run it, we'll see that you cannot drive a car because user age is 15. And if you turn user age to 20, we'll see that you can drive a car. That's very good. And the next one is the greater than, and the greater than or equal to, and the less than or equal to. So right now it's not actually always greater than 18, it's always greater than or equal to 18. So I'm going to use greater than or equal to 18 here. And then maybe I can use less than or equal to 18, or seeming too much, I can use the less than here or equal to 17. So is that less than 17 or is equal to 17? So if we run this again, you can see you can drive a car. If the value is on 18, what are you expecting? You're expecting to be able to drive a car. Now I'm going to be bringing up different things again. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is how to extend our if function. And right now, if you check about it, you see that our if function is limited to so many things. Now if you wanted to check if a user is greater than 25, then what, maybe you can get a job, or if a user is greater than 30, supposed to own a house, things like that. You see that we keep extending this if statement. Meanwhile, they all imply to one thing. So that is where the else statement comes in, else and Elif. So an else statement checks the opposite of an if statement. So right now I'm going to comment out this one. So if a user age is greater than 80, can drive a car. Else is just the opposite. Else can print just the same thing with print, you can't drive a car. And if you run this again, you can see you can drive a car. If the user passing 15, you can say sorry, you can't drive a car. So you can see that the else actually shortens the code and it makes our code more beautiful, because writing if statement in almost everywhere when they all imply to the same thing makes our code line messy. Next thing we'll be looking at is the Elif. Elif is like a kind of extensible implementation to the if and else. So if we are actually going to be checking multiple conditions, so let's say we want to check within the 18 and the 30. Yes, we want to check within the 18 and 30. We want to check if a user is greater than 30 and less than 18. That's where the Elif statement comes in. So if you are greater than 18, you can drive a car. So if you're also greater than 20, you can maybe own a house. Let's say it's like that. So Elif user age, I'm not sure it applies the law, but it's just for the coding purpose. So if the Elif the user, else if the user age is greater than or equal to 20, I'm going to just print you can drive a car and own a house. So now the user age is 15, so you're going to tell us cannot drive a car. Let's actually pick the 20 again and see. Remember, we've been picking 20 before and it's giving us you can drive a car. So let's pick it again today. And now it's telling us you can drive a car. Why? Because Python is an interpreted language. It looks at the first line of code, and since the result is true, it immediately stops the program. That means if we move this line up from here, we are going to find out that it's going to enter into the second line of code. So let's do it. So there are actually two ways of fixing this problem. The first way is actually turning your else if statement into an if statement, because right now remember I said a condition or an if statement allows your program to execute a code only when that condition is true. So once the condition is true, Python stops running. That is what happens. So that's why when our program hits the 18, 20 is greater than 18, so Python will not even have to check the other numbers because the first condition it hit was true. So the first solution we can offer is to change this into an if statement. And if we do this and run it again, we're going to receive two outputs. Let me put it again. Now it's two outputs, meaning that Python check the first if statement, ran it, and went to the second if statement and ran it. The second solution here is to actually move the second if statement upward because it has a kind of higher level of should I call it precedency, or it's actually higher in terms of code level to the later on. So moving 20 to the top, using your alt and press up, you can go to the top and then the next one and then the else. So if we run this again, I'm going to change this to Elif. We are going to be receiving, you can drive a car alone and own a house. Yes, that is it. So we are done with the if and elif and else statement. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the logical operators. There are mainly three logical operators there. We have the and, the or, and the not. So for the and operator, now an operator checks that the conditions must be true. The two conditions are true. So right now, let's say we actually want to log into a website, or yes, we want to log into a website, and we need a username and password. So I'm going to create a simple form here. Username to be equal to this, and then should we say password to be equal to, okay, let me say has account. Let's call this attribute has account to be equal to false. So what the two variables are is that the first variable, the username, is just my username, and the second variable is the has account. It's just like a simple query to the database to check whether the account exists. So the and operator checks that both conditions must be true. So we check that if, let's say we want to log in the user, so we say if the username is equal to manuels, and that is the and keyword, and the has account is equal to true, then we can print login successful. So else you can say maybe you can print no password or no account found. So what happens here is that we check if the username is manuals and the has accounts is true, which obviously is false here. And if it's true, we should just simulate a login successful. If it's false, we should go for that the account is not found because the has account product is false. So if we go ahead to run it, we are going to be receiving the account is not found. Yes, because the has account value is false here. I'm supposed to comment this out, so I'm just going to speed this up. Yes, so the has account is actually false. That's why it's showing no accounts found. And if you change this to true right now, I want to just say something before you run the program again. I tell you that a and condition checks that the two conditions must be true, or a and operator checks that two conditions must be true. So even although the username was actually manuals, even if or the username was manuals and the has account is false, it's not going to go because it checks that the two conditions must be true. That means they must be the exact value given before it runs. So now let's try this again, and we're going to find out that the login is successful. The second operator I'm going to be talking about is the or operator. The or operator is, should I call it, more simpler than the and operator, because it checks that one value must be true, at least a value must be true. So if I pass this to false, it's going to show me login successful. I'm going to comment this out so you can actually see. So if we run it again, we'll see login successful even when the has account status is false here. So this is used to differentiate that the AND operator needs the two values to be true and the OR operator needs at least a value to be true. The last operator we'll be looking at is the NOT operator, and the NOT operator is simply used to reverse a condition. So let me show you an example. So I said that the NOT operator simply reverses row. So I'm going to explain this operation in English. So you say it checks that if there is not a username, and this is just the username here, I'm going to drag it down. So if there is not a username, we are going to tell the user the username is not provided. But if there is a username, we are going to tell the user that okay, there is a username provided. And that is clearly the opposite of the AND operator we're doing here. We're checking that if there's a username, we should print maybe login successful, and if there's no username, we should print no account found. But here we are doing the opposite. If there's not a username, we should print username not provided. If there's a username, we should print username provided. So if we run this again, we're going to see the username not provided because there's no username provided. But if we put in a username here, we are going to see that a username is provided. So that's pretty everything I have for you. Next, we are going to be looking at the projects we are going to be building for today. So this is the project we'll be building today. It's inside this file here, the project.py. I'll not be opening the file, but I'm going to be showing you the code. So I've run the file right now in the terminal and it's showing me to enter my score. So I'm going to enter a score here, like over 75, which is an average. So you can see that the grade is A. That is just a simple program. So if I enter another score again, like 20, you can see that the grade is F. If I run the program again and enter another score like 14, you can see the grade is D. If I run the program again and enter another score, you can see the grade is F, AFD. If I run again and enter another score, which is 50, we should be on a pass mark, which is C. If I run it again and enter another score 60, we should be on a B. And if I run it again and enter a score, we should be on an A. So using all the outputs we have had here, I want you to build an if and else statement. To pause the video and build an if and else condition to handle this logic, which is checking the score. That means if a user has a score of 75, he has a grade of A. He has a score of 20, he has a grade of F. He has a score of 40, he has a grade of D. He has a score of 30, he has a grade of F. 50, grade of C. 60, grade of B. 70, grade of A. So I want you to pause the video, and you should have it in mind that these functions might be using the greater than and the less than all together. So pause the video, take at least 5 to 10 minutes and build the project. Come back and check the solution. So this is the solution project right now. It's very simple. We just write an integer and input here, and we actually collect the input as an integer here, which is the score. Enter your score, and then we write a series of if statements. So if the score is greater than 70, we give the person a grade A. If the score is greater than 60, we give him a grade B. If it's greater than 50, he or she collects a grade C. If it's greater than 40, he or she collects a grade D. And if there's any other score, he or she collects a grade F. So there was no actually grade E. So this is the project we built, and this project and the video today, at the end of this video, we've been able to understand what if statements are all about, how to use the Elif and the else, what are comparison operators, what are logical operators, and I'll be able to build this simple project to add to our portfolio. So you can go ahead to the comment section and tell me what you have learned, and in the next video we're going to be talking about loops and functions. Stay tuned.